feel like everyone is loving the whole ranking type of videos. But yeah, I just wanted to do one for self-improvement. We found a website in which I haven't seen before. My team sent me a link and I'm gonna go ahead and open it. We'll do this together. I'm just going to choose 10 because apparently there's about 46, but I think all 46 certainly won't apply. So we're gonna do the tier ranking and I think it'll be a good video. And I think it'll give me an ability to speak on some of these areas that are probably integral things that I do. I say probably because I haven't seen them just yet. And so I'm excited for it. My name is June Yu. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I think that we're all looking to improve upon ourselves in one way or another. And I think there are certainly techniques out there that will help us facilitate this process in a manner that's effective and efficient. So let's go immediately into the ranking. Of course, give this video a thumbs up and leave any comments below. If there's anything missing here, I'm sure I'm going to be pointing some of those things out. Or if you disagree with my ranking, even better, we can have a conversation. And of course, subscribe. With that all being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Okay, as I'm reading through this, I think one of the ones that really stand out to me is formal education, because we know that a lot of my content is based off of my academic experience. So I think that's fitting to use. I think formal education is going to be put at B. Yeah, that's tough, but I think it's a B because of the way in which most people apply it and try to utilize it isn't extracting as much as they possibly could. And I don't necessarily think it's the fault of the student. I think it's a lot of the times the system itself doesn't open your eyes to the fact that there's a lot more there. I think people are so fixated on getting the right grades, whatever that looks like for them, that they lose the joy in learning, and learning is absolutely critical. Now, I would put my formal education at a rank S, absolutely. And I would probably put that type of ranking at an S for all the people that I have worked closely with, and probably many of you guys hopefully have experience after watching my content. But because in the general side of it, a lot of people don't know that you can do this efficiently with a learning system, and people aren't cognizant of it, I think they lose the joy and they don't extract as much as they possibly could. And because of that, I'm putting it as a B. And also, school, of course, isn't meant for everyone. I'm talking about college. I think that if you have a different path, that's totally okay. I would just encourage you to really critically think about that choice and be sure that you have some sort of reasoning behind it, and you're not just doing it because school is hard, right? Like school is meant to be hard. It's meant to challenge you. And there are great ways to go about it. And I hope that you continuously follow my content so that you can learn how to do that. With that being said, let's look at the next one. I think that I'm gonna do martial arts. I'm gonna put that because I've just learned boxing, right? I think that's fitting. I don't know where to put this immediately off the top of my head, but I'm gonna put this also at B. I think it's been life-changing for me because martial arts is the epitome of doing difficult things, right? It's so out of my comfort zone. And because of that, it's taught me a lot of these intangible skills. It's not necessarily because I want to go and have to fight somebody. Like I don't envision myself in that type of scenario, but I can defend myself if I needed to. But moreover, it really does challenge me on a day in, day out basis. So in terms of the self-improvement, if you want something to physically challenge yourself, martial arts is going to be great for it. I'm really tempted to put that into A, actually, but I'm going to keep that into B for now because I'm going to go with my gut instinct. If we're looking at Dopamine Detox, I'm gonna put that into an S tier. Dopamine detox is really important, but I think also people think of detox and they think about like really long stints where they have to go without their phones. I think that's exactly what everyone's immediate reaction is, because I also had that immediate reaction, or completely going off of social media. But I think having an ability to control where and when you get the dopamine is really important. I think that's a level of discipline required, right? If you're somebody that's constantly chasing after the dopamine, man, is that a really dark hole you're going to find yourself in. You want to be able to realize that it's not always going to be pleasure. It's going to be a lot of hard work and challenging situations, but you shouldn't run away from that to go and get a short burst of dopamine somewhere else, somewhere that isn't as challenging. And so what I found is that if you can control how your days look like without your phone, it's really helpful. Or whatever that dopamine rush is for you, if you find it being unhealthy, I think that, for example, your phones aren't inherently bad, right? And social media is definitely not inherently bad. because I create content on social media and I've seen the benefit of it from both the creator side and what type of reception I get from all of you. But there's a correct way of using it, right? And if the first thing I'm doing out of the bed in the morning is mindlessly scrolling, that's probably not a great way of utilizing it. So I think being mindful of how you use your phone, so that now in the mornings I don't use my phone until my peak productivity window is over. If you haven't watched my morning routine video, you can watch it. I kind of talk about that in terms of how the order of that goes. But then I go on my phone. And I'm mindful of how I use my phone. So I think being cognizant of where you're getting the dopamine and not faltering to what most people do in our society is just crave after those dopamine rushes whenever they can get it. I think that's the right thought process. So I'm gonna put that as an S, because once you can control that, you have a lot of control in your life. Let's talk about, life mapping. I'm gonna put this into tier A. This is hard because I'm like being put on the spot with this, but I don't even know what life mapping is in the terminology that they're probably ascribing it to be, but I know what I think of when I say life mapping, and that is having a trajectory of your life and constantly being mindful of it. And I really do believe if you have the belief internally, as cliche as it sounds, you can truly make it your reality because you're more cognizant of the decisions that you make. And if you're more cognizant of the decisions you make, you're more likely to make the decisions that are actually going to lead you to that future that you've mapped out for yourself. Wow, that was really well said. That was off the top of the dome completely, but I hope that makes sense, right? And ever since I was little, I've always envisioned myself, I'm going to be somebody really successful in business. I'm going to be somebody really successful in my academics. I'm going to be somebody really successful in whatever I do. And I've always had that picture of me like in a suit, in my own office, etc. And I'm getting closer and closer to that. Obviously, life mapping isn't you knowing exactly whatever path you're on, because only God knows that. And God's going to give you what you should have, and he's going to have a great plan in store for you, and trusting in that, and whatever day-to-day event happens is really important. But I think just having a general picture that this is what my goal is, and I don't want to lose that because of all the distractions in the world, I think life mapping is a great way to do that. Again, I don't know if that's what they're saying it is, but I'm gonna just go run with it. I'm gonna talk about getting a coach or a mentor. Wow, I'm gonna put that at A. Oh man, I probably shouldn't have started off with all the best ones, right? Maybe that's not an interesting video. Whatever, you guys forgive me for that. Getting a coach or a mentor is so helpful. But the reason why I put it at A and not an S is because I used to think that that's the only way, right? I would crave after the mentorship of somebody, and I would stop doing my dreams because I was nervous to tackle it on my own. And because I didn't have anyone around me that shared the similar dreams as me, I was always in this waiting phase. Like somebody would come and do it with me, and then everything will be fine. I can do it. But no, I think that you should absolutely go through these challenges alone if you need to in the beginning. I think that a lot of us do need to, right? Because we don't have the resources at hand, but also because of the benefits it provides. So you don't necessarily need a mentor immediately at the beginning. I think you should put yourself in these challenging situations and try to figure out a way out, with knowing that it's not going to be perfect, that you will fail a ton, and that's okay. But I think when you do get to a certain point where you do have a coach or a mentor available to you, and you have a good understanding of what a good coach or mentor is, then absolutely use one, because man, does it completely change your life. Because if they've gone through the exact same type of situations that you've gone through, and they're in a career path that you want to go into, or they're living a lifestyle that you want to live, they're probably going to be able to tell you the best information without all the nonsense and distractions that you see when you're researching online by yourself, right? Oh, focusing on making more money. I'm gonna put that at D. Yeah, because I'm gonna put this at D because I do recognize money is incredibly important. And I've actually been somebody that have always looked for ways to make money, because I come from a family background that has no money. And so I was paying my way through my college myself, and my college is very expensive. It's about like $200,000 total after all the scholarships and grants, right? Insane. But in the midst of that, I was always looking for different ways to make money and leverage the skills that I do have to try and do more entrepreneurial endeavors, and then through that be able to pay off my college, and also did internships, etc. Great ways to make money. But the reason why I'm saying focusing on making more money is not such a good self-improvement tip is because I don't want money to be idolized here, right? In the sense where if you only crave after money, that will become your chain. That will become something that actually limits you more than lifts you, more than uplifts you, because then you start to chase after money. and you put yourself in situations that aren't true to you, are not aligned with who you are, because you're just so focused on making more money instead of focusing on, one, what type of endeavors can I go on that will build myself internally first, and most importantly, like what are things that I want to do but also challenge myself to do. And then I truly believe then you can leverage those skills to make more money later on, and you can make money in the midst of it, but you can't let that be the force center of what you want to do. You can't. Again, I come from a family background that had no money, and I was tempted to do that many times, but every time that I did do that and I put money first, and let's say like an internship choice, I could have chosen an internship that paid me $35 an hour, right? And that was really cool to get from one of the top pharma companies. That's big money when you do that for 6 months, right? But then I also had an internship choice of less than that, but I thought the opportunity there was greater, right? I think having that mindset, but also knowing that I wouldn't even have those opportunities if the whole time before that I wasn't constantly prioritizing my internal strength building of it, right? Because it was through the willingness to go through a lot of these challenging moments to build my internal strength first that I was able to get those opportunities and then be able to make the right decisions in that. All that to say, making money is really important, absolutely integral, but it can't be your force center of everything that you do. It can't be that. Wow, these are actually all really good, but maybe I should be thinking about this like S is like life-changing and then F is like still really good, but also not life-changing. Maybe that's how I'll envision this. So this is because I need to figure out one that I can put into F. I think the list is really good so far, but again, F I'm gonna picture as it's good, but it's not going to be extremely life-changing. And I wouldn't recommend it to be like the one crucial piece of advice. And I'm gonna do starting a new hobby as F, but I have an explanation for this. I think finding healthy hobbies is really important, crucial, right? But the reason why I'm putting this into F is this idea of starting a new hobby. I hear this all the time where people are trying to find new hobbies all the time. Finding a new hobby, there's great benefits of it in terms of it'll open up your perspective on something, and especially if it's challenging and healthy, it's going to provide a lot of pros. But I also see people that are constantly jumping from hobby to hobby, and I think that that could be a problem. I think that it's not as beneficial if you don't get too in depth with that hobby, right? Because it's easy, it's really easy to just jump around and just do the easy parts of it all. But I really do believe hobbies can be thrilling and exciting when you're able to tackle on it and get better at it, right? To put yourself through not just being, like a beginner at it, but actually adequate or potentially proficient in something. I think hobbies there has a lot of great benefit that then you can apply to other endeavors in your life, right? It's something that you can use to build an internal strength skill, or it's something that you can build your own character because you're not running away from it as it's getting challenging. And as you start to build a hobby deeper and deeper and deeper, also, I'm not saying that you have to do this, but there's great possibilities when you do a hobby consistently for a really long time, because those hobbies could potentially turn into career opportunities for yourself. How many times do you see this with even content creation, right? I'm going to utilize what I'm doing here. I've done this now for 4 years straight. Every single day I've posted an Instagram reel and a TikTok, right? I haven't missed a day. I could have never imagined that my platforms would have grown to this point the way that it has, but it has. It's due to that level of consistency. And now I wrote a book and I made a book. I could have never pictured that. And that book is helping people all across the world. It became #1 on Amazon. Like, that's insane to me. But that's what happens when you build a hobby and you really deepen that for a long period of time. And it definitely wouldn't have happened if I was just continuously jumping around. So that is up to now 7. I want to do 3 really quick ones too. I'm going to put goal setting at C. Goal setting, really important. You're not going to probably reach the levels that you want to reach if you've never set goals before. I also think it's extremely overrated because that's just stage 1. People are really good at setting goals. They're horrible at executing. That's exactly why you have the same New Year's resolutions year after year. That's exactly why the first 3 months or 4 months of a gym is always packed, and then in middle of the year and the end of the year, there's no one there. Why? Because they've just set the goal and they've tied the goal to some sort of emotional state being, like motivation or inspiration. And when that starts to die down, then they can't execute. Actually getting good at taking a macro goal and breaking down to micro goals and then doing them consistently, that's truly a skill. And that needs to be built up if you're going to reach anything in life that you want to reach, like those really big levels that you want to reach. So goal setting is important. It's crucial because you won't have success without it, but it's just stage 1. You must follow that up with different ways to execute. And we've talked about that a ton on this channel. So that should be 8. Let's do 2 really quick ones. Okay, and let's do courses and seminars. I'm gonna put this into A. Why? Because I think this is actually really, really, really close to getting a coach or a mentor. In certain cases though, and that's why I'm not putting it at an S, because I think that people have really, really, really hurt the idea of what courses are supposed to embody, because there's so many people that don't have the credibility and are just looking for a quick buck. And in that sense, then you have people that have bad experiences because they buy an expensive course and they don't have a good experience in it, and then they think all courses are bad. But there's really great courses out there. And think about what a course is. It's somebody that's doing the thing that you want to do, that's telling you, you don't need all of these X, Y, and Z things. You don't need a whole 4-year education for it. I can actually teach you immediately what to do. I think about Ali Abdaal's YouTube course, right? His YouTube Academy. And I was watching that, and yes, are there a lot of things that I already knew because I did short form content for 3-4 years? Sure. But were there a lot of things, like little nuggets, really gold mine pieces, in my opinion, as you would speak, that was transformative in the way that I would view YouTube specifically? Also, yes. And was that few important little pieces of information worth the investment? Also, yes. And so I think that there's definitely an ability to kind of utilize courses in a manner that's really, really effective. I would just tell you to be very mindful of who you're getting it from, right? This one really gets me on edge. There's a lot of people out there that will mimic or downright copy the exact type of study content, right? And then you look at their credibility and they're not in school, or they're not somebody that studied something that was hard or even challenging remotely. Then they're just trying to make a quick buck, so then they repost or they copy a piece of content from somebody, and then they go and they try to sell their course. And I'm like, that's ridiculous, because you don't have any credibility associated with it, and you're tricking people to think that you know what you're talking about. When in reality, yeah, you might have gotten a 4.0, but what did you get a 4.0 in? It's not the same thing as getting a GPA in a much difficult major, right? Like, hopefully that makes sense. And it's the same idea in like business. Like, yeah, you might have made a lot of money in something, but maybe you got really lucky off of when Bitcoin exploded. And then you go ahead and you start making courses about how to invest your money. And it's like, come on now, like, where's the level of credibility? Just because you had a level of success doesn't mean that it actually equates to credibility. You need to actually have people that know what they're talking about, that have shown you that they know what they're talking about. And then when you get the courses, I promise it'll be helpful. I think courses and seminars are very much similar in that case. So yes, I think courses and seminars are really great, but I'm gonna put it at A because I think some people unfortunately have ruined it for a lot of people. My last one here, which one do I wanna go with? Let's end off on a bang, but I don't know which one I should do because there's so many good ones. And I don't wanna do something like I could quickly say, right, like improving your sleep is going to be an S. I could easily say that. I can say affirmations are like D, because I think affirmations are really important, but it really does depend on what those affirmations are. If the affirmations are based on no actual willingness to put the work in, they're empty, right? Just because you say something in the mirror to yourself and you bang your chest does not mean it's going to happen if you're not willing to put the work in. But affirmations are absolutely integral if you're somebody that is willing to put the work in. Right? I think it goes hand in hand with the idea of like life mapping. You know what's going to happen, you want to affirm it. But yeah, I'm gonna put that at D. Again, S to F in the sense where S is like life-changing, F is still good, but not going to be life-changing. And then if I was to just throw in a few other ones, like healthy eating is definitely going to be probably an A. Then you have meditation, which I also think is going to be an A. I know I said 10, but now that I'm just trying to fly through some of these, maybe it doesn't matter. And then maybe cold showers is going to be a C because I think they've grown overly overrated. I think they're overrated because people are thinking that that's something that will completely transform their lives. But in reality, it's just one little thing that you can do to build a level of a strong mind. And I think if you see it in that way, and of course for recovery purposes, it can be beneficial. But I'm also gonna keep it at a C because I think that it's a lot more accessible than a cold plunge. And I know that there are ways to do cold plunges in a manner that is really, really effective, but most people don't have that accessibility. So I think cold showers is going to be more accessible, even if it doesn't have as many benefits. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm just gonna end the list there before I go on a tangent of all these things. I hope that this was fun. I hope this is interesting. I know we got some pretty colors in here. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think that there are definitely ways that you can facilitate your personal development. These are just some ways. I think there's a lot of other great ways that you can do this, but problem is that there's too much complexity, and maybe I'm adding to the complexity because there's like 100 things here, but just know that just a few steps, like you can just do 1 or 2 of these things and it'll really help you take the right direction or take the right step in the right direction. And then you can build off of that. Because what happens when you start to take small steps towards your dreams, you're going to, 1, build confidence because you've been able to showcase yourself that you stuck and stayed committed to something that you promised. And then 2, it's gonna build positive momentum, and then maybe you can build upon it with one of these techniques. Hopefully that helped. Hopefully you had a good time. Please leave the comments below if you want to challenge me on anything, or if you agree, if you have anything that you want to add. Give this video a thumbs up, and of course subscribe. So until next time, please take care, and I'll see you guys all at the top.